Hey, this is Justin with NEMO Fishing. You know, you don't have to have a fancy boat with 10 rods and reels, electronics, 15 boxes of lures to be a good fisherman. If you are a tournament angler and that's your thing, that's fantastic. But it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, some of the best fishermen I know are just guys that like to fish, maybe from a canoe or even from the bank. That's what I want to blog about today is bank fishing a honey hole. And you know what a honey hole is. It's a little farm pond or family lake that maybe you own or you've been invited to come and fish. How are you going to fish it? You know, a lot of us got our fishing started fishing from the bank. And some of you don't have to go to a reservoir or a large river system to catch big fish. Some of the best fishing you will ever have is in those little honey holes. So how you gonna fish it? Well, there's things that I've learned and want to share with you, just some ideas. I'm sure you know some things of your own, but I've learned one of the first things you want to do is to make sure to respect your host. So you follow their rules. If you have to call before you come, call. Don't trash the place up with garbage, I mean, whatever their rules are, it's their property, you honor that. And if they want you to wear a pink life vest, by golly, if the fishing's good enough, you will find a pink life vest and wear it while you're fishing. So respect your host. That's very important. I've also learned that stealthy is best. I've learned fishing these small waters to step quietly. Not so much talking because that sound bounces off the water and doesn't penetrate the water, but any kind of vibration on the ground or on a dock, for example, or if you are in a boat in a small pond, that's going to spook fish. So stealthy is best. Wear dark clothing or camouflage clothing, of course, unless you have to wear a pink life vest. But stealthy is best. And when the water's stained like that, that is some good fishing. Don't worry about it being hard fishing. Just, the fish adjust to wherever they live. They can't pick up and move. So if the water's always stained, that's what they're used to. And if it's stained, they're going to have a harder time seeing where you are. And they won't be spooked as much. So I would encourage you to work the shoreline. 9 times out of 10, when I go fishing at a reservoir, either with a buddy who has a boat or a family member, or if I'm in my kayak and I'm watching other boats, bass boats, what are they doing? They're fishing the bank, just from a different angle. So now some guys fish suspended fish out in open water, and that's when your electronics is really helpful. But with these farm ponds and these honey holes, fish the bank. You wouldn't believe the number of big fish I've caught just in inches of water right off the bank. Work that shoreline. Take your time. Step slow. Be careful with your casts. Concentrate and think. Slow down and think. Fish the cover. Weeds or docks, low-hanging trees, a sunken log, a tire that rolled down the hill into the lake you've noticed in a shallow end, or that bucket that's blown in the lake and is resting on the bottom. All of that can be somewhere a fish will locate on, gravitate to for whatever reason. Fish that cover. I always recommend to CPR, catch, photo, and release. Practice catch and release. Now the exception to that is, of course, if you've been invited to help clean out a lake. Say a lake has an overpopulation of fish and they're all stunted and small, usually your host will tell you and say, hey, keep some of those fish so that the other ones can grow. But generally speaking, catch, photo, and release, especially with the bigger fish. By the way, don't overfish it because smart fish will learn. You think of fish as kind of dumb animals, but any dumb animal can be trained. I mean, just ask my wife. Any dumb animal can be trained. And if you're fishing it every day, 24 hours a day, Those fish will get used to the sound of your voice. They will get used to the sound that your lures make, what colors they are. They will learn not to bite. If they have enough bad experiences, they will learn to shut their mouths. So don't overfish it, because the smarter fish will learn. Know what fish are there other than your target species, and use lures accordingly. So if you're fishing for bass, you know, are there crappie in there? Are there bluegill in there? Because they could be fish that the bigger fish eat in the food chain. Even sometimes small blackhead or bullhead fish, not talking zits here, but bullheaded fish, catfish can be edible for large bass. So use lures accordingly, and you'll probably do pretty well. And then another lesson I've learned is it's good to start big and then downsize. I mean, depending on what's going on with the weather and stuff like that, but sometimes farm ponds can be an anomaly. So I like to target that biggest fish and the hungriest fish in the lake, and that big dog likes a big lure. So I start big, and then on my second time around, I'll switch it up and use something different, usually going smaller. You'd be surprised how many times I've caught big fish on small lures in small waters on that second time around the lake. So, hey, those are some tips for fishing that good old honey hole. So find yourself a honey hole and go fish it. It's going to be some of the best fishing you will ever have.